Hello again, and welcome back to Bamboo Batu, another fun video about bamboo topics. Today we actually have a rather unfortunate topic, something we don't like to talk about too often, but it's the challenges of bamboo farming. Bamboo farming seems like a dream come true for many, but the realities on the ground are sometimes not so easy, not so simple. And it is crucial that you are aware of all the possible challenges and pitfalls before you go and plant 100 acres of bamboo on your land. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, let me remind you that if you love bamboo, please visit bamboobatu.com. That's my website, bambubatu.com. Fun, free content for hours and hours of reading pleasure. Hundreds of articles all about bamboo, the many topics, the many uses, the many benefits of bamboo. Check it out. And let's get into it. So yeah, bamboo grows like crazy. There's a lot of things you can do with it. And so a lot of people want to plant bamboo and think it's just going to be like green gold. They're just going to strike it rich with a lot of bamboo because look at this. This is bamboo in Cambodia. It grows like crazy. It's grown everywhere. You literally cannot stop it. And there's so many things you could be doing with it. So it is tempting to transform your back 40 into something that looks like this. But if you don't live in Cambodia, your results might not look the same. If you live in Kenya, for example, you could be farming bamboo that looks like this. This is a bit more orderly. That first picture was just bamboo growing in the wild. This is an actual bamboo farm where you have rows of clumps, assorted species of bamboo. But to get it to look like this, it took years of hard work and tilling the land and waiting for those bamboo clumps to mature to produce those huge poles that you see here. Great results, great things you can do with bamboo. And you can grow bamboo in many places. It's very resilient, so long as you pick the right species. These are tropical bamboo species in this picture because this is in Kenya. Kenya is located on the equator, which is known to be tropical. And at the high elevations on the equator, you get some really great conditions for bamboo growing. It stays nice and warm all year round. It gets heavy precipitation. In certain parts of the country, at least, mostly in the southwest, if we're talking about Kenya. But yeah, these are things you need to consider when you plant your bamboo. Climate conditions and species selection, all that stuff is very important if you want great results. You might be dreaming of a bamboo farm that looks like this. And if so, then yeah, you might really be dreaming. This is a bamboo forest in China. In China, bamboo has been growing there, like in the Anji Valley, for example, for forever, as far as we know. And the people there are very familiar with it. They know how to harvest it. They know how to harvest it sustainably and responsibly so that each year when they come back, the forest continues to provide and provide and provide. But if you're trying to do this on your own land, somewhere in Florida, maybe, yeah, you might be able to do it. But it might not be that easy. In China, they never really had to learn how to start a bamboo farm. They just learned where the bamboo was growing and learned how to harvest it the right way. So the idea of intentionally creating something like this is not so simple. Not to say that it's impossible, but you just need to be realistic when you get into it. There is a widespread understanding that bamboo just grows like crazy. It is relentless, unstoppable, and indefatigable, and many other things. This is a bamboo root here, the rhizome, actually, of a running bamboo. You can see it running across the terrain there. And bamboo does have a way of spreading. It spreads vigorously, especially when it's confined in a small garden. But just because it takes over your garden, it doesn't mean that you can go and plant 100 acres of it and it's just going to grow like crazy all the time. It is an incredibly fast growing plant. That is absolutely true. But cultivating it and controlling it and turning it into a commercial cash crop is a little bit different than just having it take over your garden. Here's a good example of someone who let it take over part of their garden. This is a park in France, and someone planted this nice clump of bamboo on the corner of this path where the path meets the other path. And it probably seemed like a really nice spot for a clump of bamboo. Um, I'm just speculating here that they thought it was a clump of bamboo, but it's actually a running bamboo. If you look at it here, it does look like a really big overgrown clump, but that's because it was a small running bamboo planted in this small little section. And over the years, it started to spread and spread, and now it's completely outgrown that little corner. And that's what bamboo often does in people's gardens. It spreads into areas where they don't want it. But again, that's not entirely analogous to what you will experience if you're trying to grow a bamboo farm. And whether you grow a clumping bamboo or a running bamboo, that's really going to depend on your climate more than anything else. If you want to grow bamboo in a cold climate, um, that is someplace where it freezes in the winter. It could be really hot in the summer, but you get significant freezing in the winter, then you're probably going to need to grow a running bamboo, some kind of phylostachys. That's not what this is in the picture. This is a Leioblastis, I think. Anyway, the poles are not very thick. These are very skinny, skinny little poles. It's actually considered a dwarf bamboo, although it's a huge dwarf. But in any case, if you're in a more tropical or subtropical area where freezing is very rare, then you could be growing more tropical species, or subtropical, more likely. In a place like Florida, for example, it's pretty warm, but it freezes a couple times a year. Unless you're down in Key West or something. I don't think it freezes down there. But if you're in the center of the state or up in the northern part of the state above, say, Orlando, then you get some freezing. And if you're trying to grow tropical bamboo, yeah, it'll survive, but it'll get a little bit of frost once or twice a year, and that's going to kind of slow things down. If there's any new growth, the new growth is going to get stunted, and then you're going to wish that you hadn't been growing tropical bamboo anymore. Again, it will survive if you're growing it as an ornamental. Yeah, you can get away with it. It might look great. It might look fine, but if you want it to be a commercial cash crop, then looking fine is not. It's not going to pay the bills. If you have a mortgage to pay on your farm and you need to be cranking out lots of biomass or lots of bamboo products of whatever type that you have in mind, then you need to be doing that as efficiently and productively as possible. And that means that if it's freezing a couple nights out of the year and you have a tropical bamboo, it's not going to be that effective and efficient. Important things to consider when selecting species. So you would want to go, in that case, just to go on with this example, in that case, I would recommend some kind of probably Bambusa variety, the genus Bambusa. It's like a subtropical, it's clumping, but it can handle temperatures down into the 20s, and handle those frosts quite well. Something like Old Hammy, or there's lots of different species of bamboos out there. We could definitely go down a wormhole with that one, or rabbit hole. Wormhole is the other thing. We're not going through. We're not going to go through a wormhole right now. Anyway, back on topic. So yeah, bamboo grows like crazy. We've established that. Most people recognize it as a plant that does not need much attention. It grows in poor soil, doesn't need a lot of fertilizer, not really susceptible to pests and bugs and all that stuff. However, although that may be true in your garden, or say for a land restoration project, if you just want to plant something that will grow in poor soil to help bring the land back, that's one thing. And bamboo is great for that. But if you want to turn that into a commercial operation and get really high yields, then the poor degraded soil is not really going to be optimal. Eventually, in time, once the soil is restored, and if you've added lots of things to it, like shovels and shovels full of manure, and compost and biochar. Had to had to throw in a plug for biochar there. Huge fan of biochar. Check out some other videos of mine if you want to know more about biochar. But all those things you're going to want to add to the soil to really bolster it up and to get those high yields and the biggest crop that you can from your land. Then you're going to want to do that kind of stuff. Again, I would recommend things like manure and biochar that really build the soil as opposed to fertilizers that just like putting the plant on a drip and ignoring the actual health of the soil. Eventually, that does not lead to very strong plants, and you just end up with degraded soil and plants that can't really survive without their daily drip of NPK. So there's definitely some maintenance there on the bamboo for the soil and the nutrients. And then pests, not a huge problem with bamboo, but yeah, you can get bugs on bamboo for sure. Um, if it's super wet, unseasonably wet, you can get some weird fungus and stuff growing on the bamboo, and that could turn into a big problem. I know some big bamboo farms that have had wildfires ravage their farms, and that's a problem for sure. In some areas, it's a bigger concern than others, but all these things you need to be aware of. You can't just plant a bunch of bamboo and think, I've planted the wonder crop, it is invincible, it shall not be stopped under any conditions. Again, it is practically unstoppable, but practically unstoppable and completely unstoppable are two different things, especially in this day and age when extreme climate events are just happening on a daily basis. You need to be prepared for some weird, wacky stuff. So, yeah, do not go into this blindly. But again, don't let me scare you out of it. I think bamboo farming is a great idea. You just have to be sensible and realistic about it, just as you would with any other business venture or farming operation. You just got to be smart and cover your bases. And then we get to the next part, which is when you get that giant harvest of bamboo. This is one of the biggest problems that bamboo farmers face. Look at that, huge piles and piles of bamboo. Awesome. And then the bamboo piles up and they start to wonder, dang, what am I going to do with all this bamboo? And in a lot of places, like in the US, if you're growing bamboo in Georgia or Alabama, you can get some massive yields on your bamboo. The climate there is great. You can be stacking up poles, all day long. But selling all these bamboo poles is not that easy. Not everybody needs a whole bunch of bamboo poles. A few people want a few bamboo poles. They're great for staking up tomatoes in your garden. They're really cool for curtain rods. But it's hard to make, a really large scale business with curtain rods. Um, tomato stakes maybe. But the other thing is if you've got big bamboo like these here, which appear to be pretty big, maybe 3 or 4 inches in diameter, they're a bit difficult to carry around. You can't just throw it in the back of your car. If you fill up a truck with them, the truck is going to be really stacked with a bunch of poles. And then, as you know, bamboo poles are, for the most part, hollow on the inside. So you filled a container with bamboo poles that are hollow, which means most of the container is just filled with air, which is not a real effective use of space. And so shipping massive quantities of bamboo poles, not that practical, not that cost effective. And so you need to figure out what you're going to be doing with your bamboo. Um, Maybe you want to build a factory. That's a pretty big investment. Maybe someone else is building a factory somewhere within 50 or 100 miles of your farm. That would be really cool. It would be good to know that before you plant. At the same time, there's a lot of people planting bamboo. More and more people every day are thinking about getting into the bamboo business. And if you plant your bamboo today, there's a reasonable chance, if you're in a place like Florida or Alabama or Georgia, places where there seems to be a lot of interest in bamboo growing, bamboo cultivation, there's a good chance that somebody down in that area is going to be putting up a factory pretty soon to be making bamboo building material or bamboo biochar or some bamboo furniture or some other project, who knows. And if that happens, then as the bamboo farmer, you're in luck, because you've got a customer that's going to take the bamboo off your hands And that is a key ingredient in a successful business is a customer for the finished product. So yeah, it's about figuring out what that finished product is going to be. Whether you just want to sell poles, or you want to cut them down into slats, or you want to actually process them into something more valuable. There are many, many things you can make out of bamboo. Some people get into planting bamboo and say, hey, you can make a million different things out of bamboo, so let's grow it. And yeah, you can make a million things out of it, but which one of those million do you want to focus on? Because you can't just sell it as a pole and say, look, here's a bamboo pole. You can make a million things. Give me $20 for it. Again, you can sell a few poles to people in your neighborhood. Maybe they want to build a gazebo. But once you've saturated that demand for gazebo building material, then you need to start getting more creative. You can get pretty creative with a gazebo. I just love to say the word gazebo. It's a fun word. But again, think it through, have a plan, pick the right species, pick a good location, figure out if there's going to be a factory nearby, figure out what kind of products you want to make. Maybe you want to focus on products that don't need a lot of processing, like charcoal or biochar, things like that. Relatively simple. Or bamboo shoots, even. Bamboo shoots don't really need any processing. You just harvest them at the right time and you got fresh bamboo shoots. And there's a pretty great demand for those. Anyway, lots to think about if you want to get into planting bamboo. Check out more of my videos, check out the website, and hit me up for a consultation if you're interested. Good luck, and remember, you heard it here first at Bamboo Batu. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.